There we go, everyone. We are back again for another fantastic conversation on Friday Night Counter Attack. You're here watching the best Wonder Kids per each country at the European Championships. We are recording this before all the teams are actually confirmed their 26-man squads, to be fair. But I'm really excited about it because I want to look at some of these players. I want to learn about some of these players before they get to the international stage on the 14th of June. 14th of June? Yeah. 14th of June in Germany and Berlin when the tournament starts as well. So I needed someone who has a special mind for this as well. I'm not saying his special in any kind of way. The special I'm talking about is he is a professional football scout like myself. So he has a bit more information about European footballers than probably I do in some countries. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce you by your full name, but I can't. So introducing my friend all the way from Georgia. Tbilisi, Georgia, is it, Mikha?
Yes, exactly.
All the way from Tbilisi, Georgia, Mikha. Mikha,
How
why don't
about
you
you?
introduce yourself to the audience once again? It's been a few years since you've been on the channel.
Yeah,
Hope you're doing well, and I'm looking forward to hearing your story before we get into our best wonder kids across European football at the European Championships. As you can tell, this title is still a work in progress.
yeah. First of all, thanks a lot for having me. I always enjoy this sort of conversation. Obviously, we've had this conversations during last few years, but over WhatsApp. So it's nice to be in this format right now, and I'm even more excited about this Euros because obviously my nation will be playing this tournament for the first time ever. So yeah,
They're my
fingers
second
crossed.
team. I need a Georgian football kit now as well. Kvaratskhelia on the back. Turkey,
So yeah.
Portugal, Czech Republic. You can see I've got my
Obviously,
calendar there.
like we are in a difficult group. I believe that there's no such thing as an easy group at Euro. So let's see. And it's even more difficult when we have Cristiano Ronaldo, who's going to be playing his last ever international tournament. So yeah,
Oh,
let's see.
it's going to be fun. It's going to be very enjoyable to see how Georgia do as well. And
Absolutely.
hopefully we'll be back later on in the summer to talk more about Georgian football because I'm looking forward to it as well. There's so many young talents on display in the Georgian national team playing at Valencia, Napoli. We've had a few playing in France in Ligue 1 as well. A lot in Russia at the
Championship as
same
well.
time. Yes, it's true. Oh, but without further ado, this is how it's going to go. We're going to go through every single group stage and we're going to go through every single team to find one young player to watch out for in the European Championships. They're going to be under 23 years old. They're going to be someone who we think can have a bright future ahead of them. And they may not be the best player in their team. They may not even get onto the pitch. They may not even be on the bench. But we are looking forward to some of these young players. Some of these players you already know. If you're good football fans, you'll know about some of these amazing talents from Romania, Albania, Georgia. Of course, you will know. There are some players that you don't know from England and the Netherlands and France, but that's if you do know football as well, which would be good fun. But without further ado, let's go. I've got my drinks ready. Mika has got his list ready, and I'm here to make sure that you're educating yourself on the best wonder kids around European football who will be at the European Championships. Again, it's a work in title progress. I'm not too sure. Mika, start us away. Group A, Germany, Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland. Let's start
Where do
with
we
the
start
host.
from?
Let's start with Germany. This is the host. It's their tournament. It can't not be Germany that we're starting with. If you had to pick
Absolutely.
their best wonder kid, who would it be and why?
I believe there's an obvious answer, and that's Florian Wirtz.
Over Jamal
I believe,
Musiala.
or maybe yes, but like for example, either Germany or France or either England, there are teams that have a lot of talented players. But for me, from Germany, it's going to be Florian Wirtz because I believe that sometimes at Euros, it comes down to your good form, and especially with this young players who don't have a lot of experience on an international level. If you're in a good form, you're most likely to have a very good tournament. And the thing with Euros and also the World Cup and this sort of international tournaments is that it's only 1 month, so you don't have a lot of time to pick up your form if you're already not in a good form. So that's why I believe Florian Wirtz, coming from a fantastic season at Bayer Leverkusen, would be a very good addition to the German squad, and he's also a very versatile player who can play out wide and in the central midfield. So I believe he's going to be absolutely fantastic for Germany.
I agree. Florian Wirtz, have been raving about him all season long. Unbeaten all season in the Bundesliga. Won the domestic double in Germany. In a way, he was kind of let down by Xabi Alonso in the Europa League final, not playing with a focal point, not playing with a striker next to him to allow him to dictate the game like he has been doing all season long in the Bundesliga. I'm really excited to see how Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala work with Toni Kroos in this German national side, managed by Julian Nagelsmann as well. So I'm very happy to see Florian Wirtz, especially after he missed the 2022 World Cup with an ACL injury. So it reminded me of the fact that a lot of people they're just seeing the highs, but they don't remember the lows or even know about the lows of some of these players who have to come through such a hardship to come back into the national team and to star for the national team. So maybe this is like Antoine Griezmann in 2016. Maybe this is the coming of age of Florian Wirtz at Euro 2024. Home nation, home tournament. Looks like a very comfortable group for Germany, especially now Toni Kroos is back into the starting lineup as well, which is great. Great introduction. Florian Wirtz, we're here for it, Mikha. Scotland. This is more my territory because they're my neighboring country up north as well. It's a very nice holiday
Absolutely.
destination. The people there are lovely. But as Mick and I have been looking at, there's not that many young players to look forward to. So I'm gonna have to go a bit out of my comfort zone here. And I'm going for I don't want to do this, but it's kind of the best of a bad bunch, and not to be rude, but I'm gonna have to go for Ben Doak. Ben Doak, the Liverpool youngster, he's someone who can excite players off the bench. He's going to be someone who I reckon that Steve Clark will be relying upon if they do need a goal, if they do need an assist, a bit of creativity, a bit of magic moving forward. So Ben Doak is someone that I think with Scotland you've got to watch out for because they've got really good established players like Scott McTominay, Kieran Tierney, Andy Robertson, the captain. So there's more to come from Scotland like we saw at Euro 2021. But
Definitely.
Ben Doak as well, maybe he will be their wild card coming off the bench and really showcasing his talents and maybe auditioning for Arne Slot as the next season
Sure.
comes across as well, which will be good.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of him, but one time when I watched him, it was absolutely devastating because we played Georgia under 17s played against Scotland and we got destroyed, like absolutely destroyed. I think it was 5-1 or 6-1, something like that. And he scored a hat trick
Oh God.
and assisted. So he was absolutely terrible for us, but he was an amazing player for Scotland from the right wing, explosive, very fast, created chances, scored fantastic goals. So I think he's a very talented player, and we should definitely watch out.
If you're ever playing Football Manager or FIFA, this is a good list to kind of have. So make a note of it at home as well. If you think there's a better Wonderkid from Scotland, do comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments, of course, which will be great. We're off to Hungary now. We're off to Hungary. Is that close to Georgia or is that a couple of hours away? Is that
Across the Black Sea.
That's fine. Across the Black Sea. I wanted to make sure I knew where we're talking about here as well. I'm going to go for Milos Kerkez. He's been fantastic for Bournemouth this season. The left back has been incredible. But the fact of the matter is, Georgia and Hungary, they have a lot of young players coming through. It's just
For
about
sure.
how, with their young players, they're not young in terms of age, they're young in terms of inexperience in the international stage as well. Hungary were fantastic in the group of death in Euro 2021. But what's your thoughts on Milos Kerkez? He was fantastic against Manchester United this season as well,
He
in
was
the 2-2 draw.
definitely, definitely. And one thing that I like about him is that despite being so young, he plays with a lot of confidence and he has a great balance between attack and defense. So he's very well developed as an attacking fullback, and I believe he can contribute very well to Hungary's attacks, especially fast counter attacks, especially against teams like Germany where they will most probably sit back and wait for their chance. So I think he's going to be crucial for that team.
He's got a good cross on him as well. Low crossing is
Sure.
really good at, and he's been able to create chances for Justin Kluivert. He's been able to create chances for Dominic Solanke, who's been very good this season for Bournemouth. So maybe that's a transfer to watch out for in the summer as well. Milos Kerkez maybe leaving Bournemouth, maybe looking to go to a bigger club. And there are a lot of teams out there that need a left back because left backs aren't as great as they used to be. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with Milos Kerkez if he has a really good
Yeah.
tournament. So I'm looking forward
Speaking
to
of
it.
Manchester United,
We've had no left backs all season. We've sold Alvaro Fernandez to Benfica. So maybe we do need to get a left back in itself. Sell Luke Shaw, Tyrone Malacia can stay as a backup. I don't like the fact that we've had Amrabat or Lindelof at left back. We're playing them out of position.
sure.
Get Milos Kerkez, bring him in, have a bit of fun. with a new Hungarian left back. He may even be the first Hungarian footballer ever to play for Man United if he signs, but this is just us
I think so,
speculating,
yeah.
ladies and gents, which is good. Switzerland. This is a name I've not heard before, so I'd like to hear more about Arden Jashiri. I want to hear your thoughts
Yes.
on him.
So Arden Jashari, he's a very talented young midfielder
Jashari, I apologize. I said his name wrong.
from Switzerland. And unfortunately for us, for Ghent, he quite recently moved to our rivals, Club Brugge, who quite recently became champions of Belgium, which is even more devastating. Uh, so, so yeah, I mean, he's a very interesting player who can play as a number 6, number 8, sort of a deep line playmaker who can distribute very good long range passes from deeper positions. And I definitely see him making a very good long range pass straight into the final third, where Switzerland have quick and explosive attackers. So I think he can definitely create chances out from the back and play as a number 6, number 8 for Switzerland, which actually is a quite an interesting team. And I think they will be one of the black horses at the tournament. They always have a very good team, but especially I think this year they are quite good.
I don't think so with Switzerland. I think they're going to be finishing third, maybe fourth in this group as well.
Oh,
I like
really?
to, yeah, I don't think they're going to be as good as a lot of people think. I think with Jashiri, he's considered the next Jemaili. Jemaili, is that his name? Jemaili. He played like,
Yeah,
yeah, Jemaili. They were considering him to Jemaili a 6, number 8, control the ball, can score a goal. He's scored what, 5 goals and 3 assists this season in the Swiss league as well, for Luzern. So it's good to see that he's got his game coming up as well. And Swiss players are always fun to watch because you like to see the Shakiris, you like to see the Xhakas as well. It's more for me, the way I want to see personally is if he does get into that squad and if he does get that game time, because it will be fun to see
for
more
sure.
young players coming through from Switzerland as well. But personally, for me, at the time of recording, I don't think Switzerland will make it into the knockout stages. But
Let's
hopefully
see.
I'm proved wrong. Hopefully I'm proved wrong. I don't think I'll be proved wrong, but hopefully I'm proved wrong as well. Right then, Group B. Excellent on Group A, by the way. I love that. Group B, Mikhail, we've got Spain, Italy, Albania, and Croatia. The group of
Yes.
death. Personally, for me, I think Group C is a group of death because England have got some really tough teams on their hands, but people just see
Yeah.
the names. They don't see the actual teams. We can't not go to Spain first. Let's go to Spain. Spain,
Yeah.
Lamine Yamal. It's got
Indeed,
to be,
actually,
right?
is very good. So yeah, from Spain, another devastating story for Georgia, unfortunately, because we had to pick Lamine Yamal,
Oh, talk to
and
me
the
about
guy.
that. Talk to me about that moment when you saw him play against Georgia, your home
Well,
nation. What was that like?
well, if this episode is about Wonder Kids, and if there is at least one Wonder Kid in this list, it's gonna be him. And the devastating story that I was speaking about is about the fact that quite recently we lost 6-1 against Spain at home in Tbilisi. And
You were in Spain without the S.
yes,
Pain.
absolutely. Unfortunately.
I hate that joke. I use it so often. I'm so sorry. But continue.
And Yamal, he came. Basically, he was on the bench. He was subbed on in the second half. First of all, he became, I believe, he became the youngest ever, basically the youngest ever player who played for Spain. I think, if I'm not mistaken. But what I know for sure is that he scored a goal, and he definitely became the youngest ever goal scorer for Spain.
Yes.
And he scored against us. Um, and it was, yeah, devastating to watch, but he was absolutely amazing. When I watched him live, he was explosive. He was basically Georgian defenders were just basically unable to stop him. He was all over the pitch. And well, basically the things that he can do with the ball at a very high speed at such a young age is quite impressive. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him in such a difficult group, I would say. And it's really interesting to see how he performs with the likes
Abs
of especially Italy.
Absolutely. You're going to play against a couple teams that are low block as well. I got the chance to watch Lamine Yamal live in Barcelona this season. I got to watch him play against Real Sociedad. He scored the first goal, which was incredible. So he was really the focal point for Barcelona in terms of let's get the ball to Lamine Yamal, sorry. Let's get the ball to Lamine Yamal. Let's get him on the ball at his feet. Let him drive at defenders. Let him give them a nightmare night. And he did absolutely fantastic. Even in a game where it didn't really mean much, but Barcelona had to secure second place, it was great to see. And I've been discussing this all season because Sarah, our co-host, is a Barcelona fan. But I'm going to ask you this question before we move on to the next teams as well. What is Lamine Yamal's best trait right now as a footballer? Is it his speed, agility, composure on the ball, awareness? What do you think it is, Mikhail, from what you've seen?
I would say explosiveness, but at the same time, his ability to keep the ball very close to his feet while he's actually running at full speed, which is quite difficult to execute. And I'm saying this because at such a young age, to be able to do that, it's quite impressive and unusual. So that's why he's considered as one of the biggest talents out there.
I love it. It's fantastic. Now we have to see who their main rivals in the group will have as their wonder kid. Italy, the former winners in 2021 after they devastated England with an incredible display at Wembley Stadium. And me being an English person, I'm like, I can accept it because a lot of people were like, oh no, we should have won. We should have won, but we didn't because we
Yeah.
weren't clinical enough. We were awful after the first goal. And then unfortunately, Sancho, Saka, and Rashford had to deal with the pain of Gareth Southgate's inability to coach, which was awful. He didn't go for the kill at his home stadium in Wembley, the best chance they've ever had to win an international tournament in the 21st century, and Gareth Southgate bottled it. And three young kids had to then deal with the pain, really, of England. But Italy did their job. Donnarumma did his job. They had a fantastic team, a starting 11, which was incredible. Immobile, Chiesa, you had the likes of Bonucci and Chiellini having their one last dance for Italy. But as we know, they're retired now, Bonucci and Chiellini. There's a defender I want to talk about, but was there any other wonder kid from Italy you thought we should be speaking about, Mika?
Well, I think we're on the same page. But obviously, yeah, Italy always had and will always have interesting youngsters. But the thing is that it's quite, I would say, romantic to see a very talented young center back, especially when Italy had this culture of developing fantastic world-class defenders.
Of
So it's
course,
great to see a new up-and-coming young center back in their squad.
Giorgio Scalvini. I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same person here.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. He didn't start in the Europa League final, but he has been fantastic for Atalanta all season long. My worry is the fact that he may be beaten for pace because in earlier this season when England were playing Italy, Harry Kane beat Scalvini for pace, and Harry Kane isn't the quickest of players for England, so Scalvini's got a lot to deal with in terms of his positioning, his awareness as a centre back. He can't be exposed if he's playing with a Cherby or Bastoni. He has to be ready to deal with the likes of Lamine Yamal. If you're going to be playing against Kramaric as well. Um, what's his name? I forgot his name. Armando Broja from Albania, of course, as well. So he's going to have to deal with the physical threats as well as the mental threats as well, because there is a lot of pressure on young centre backs from Italy, like you mentioned as well, Mikel Bastoni.
absolutely.
Is going to be a really big player for them moving forward because he won the Serie A this season. The Scudetto is his. So a lot to come from Scalvini. But with Scalvini, do you think he will be a starter for Italy?
Yeah, the thing is that well, it's a 50-50, and also the thing with Euros is that, and with this international tournaments, basically coaches tend to pick experienced players, and they don't want to take a lot of risks. So that's why I think it's going to be a bit difficult for him. But I think on a tactical level, as far as I know, Atalanta have been playing with the back five. And if Italy also play with the back five, I think it's going to be a perfect fit for him because he knows the system. He is quite adept to that. So I think in terms of the tactical aspects, he's not going to struggle a lot.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good. And especially with Albania and Croatia in the group vying for that second place and maybe the best of third place positions as well. We will go to Albania now. And Albania, again, it's a player we haven't really seen much, or I haven't seen much of as well, playing for Besiktas, Ernest Muçi.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Mika. What have we learned about Muçi that we think we may pronounce his name wrong? I may pronounce Muçi. I think it's Muçi with the accent, but I'm not too
Yes.
sure. What have
I'm
we
not
learned
sure.
about him this season? Because again, Albania, they came into Euro 2016. They were a very bright spark. They were very engaging to see at the tournament in Euro 2016 in France as well. But what can we expect from, we're not going to talk about Albania today, but just from Mucci? Because again, it's going to be a
Yeah.
young side, but not young in age, young in tournament experience, as we like to say.
Exactly, yeah. So Mucci, I've seen his games when he played for Legia, and the thing that I liked the most about him was that he stepped up for his team when it mattered the most. If I'm not mistaken, he scored 3 times against Aston Villa. Aston Villa, the side that was one of the favorites actually to go through and actually win the tournament. Maybe,
I'm
maybe.
glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
Olympiacos had better scenes when they won the Conference League. So I'm glad
And
they didn't.
basically, they were in a very good form at the time when Legia was playing against them. And the fact that Musi stepped up when it mattered the most, he scored at home, away as well, which is not easy to do. And I believe he will be a very important player for them as he's quite explosive, very quick. And against the teams like Spain, Italy, Albania will definitely need some fast players up front to hit them on counterattacks and utilize those chances. So I think with Musi and his explosiveness and pace on the counterattack, especially, and his ability to keep the ball in tight spaces, despite not being the most physical player in the squad, he will be a very important player for that Albania side.
You're basically describing the Albanian Paulo Dybala to me right there. He can play as an
Sort of.
attacking midfielder. He can hold the ball well. He's not the strongest, but is a good technical player. I'm looking forward to Mucci. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing him as well. It should be a fun conversation to have because I'll be like, yeah, we know about him. We saw him play for Legia Warsaw this season. And I can tease Salim, my Aston Villa co-host as well. But like, he's beating you again, which is great. Maybe one for fantasy football as well, for Euro 2004 fantasy football. Final team in the group, Croatia. Now, we know Croatia as having all of these old players in their team. We saw that at the World Cup. We saw them in terms of having Brozovic, Modric, Kramaric. Got all of these players. I think Cerna was still playing in Euro 2021 as well.
Yeah.
Amazing. Josko Gvardiol was considered the young player coming through, and he was at left back. And as we saw in the World Cup, Messi lowered his transfer value. And just like in the FA Cup final, Alejandro Garnacho lowered his stock level as well, which is great to see. But then again, I blame Ortega for that. That was poor goalkeeping from him, in my opinion. But is there a wonder
Miscommunication.
kid that's kind of sorry, I interrupted you there. Is there a wonder kid from Croatia that kind of sticks out for you? Or is it going to be just a young player who's going to be on the cusp of coming into the first team? What do you think? Because I think the Croatia team, and I think you said the same thing, the Croatia team is pretty much established in starting 11. It's about who can break in to that starting
Yeah.
11. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe there is at least one very interesting young player. And who else, if not Dinamo Zagreb's academy product? All due respect to Hajduk Split, but Dinamo Zagreb are absolutely amazing at producing world-class talents. And I
If you need
believe
to look back at the history of some of these players that have come from
absolutely, yeah.
there, it's unbelievable. And we should really do a series on that, on all the players that these academies have produced, because a lot of people just think they come out of thin air, but they've been incredible in terms of what
Yeah.
they've done. But yes, who are we going for this one?
Martin Baturina, a classic number 10, creative attacking midfielder who can definitely provide and create very good chances, especially from set pieces. And
Oh, I love a set
yeah,
piece, me.
that's the thing. I believe he will be able, well, at least from what I've seen at Dinamo Zagreb, he's able to provide very good crosses from set pieces, whether it's from corners or from indirect free kicks. I believe he has the ability to provide very good crosses and create chances in the final third with line breaking passes or cutback crosses. So I think that's going to be his biggest strength at this tournament. And also he can score from the distance. One of the set piece routines that Dinamo Zagreb has is playing a short pass to Martin Baturina, who carries the ball to the edge of the box and shoots from the range. So I think
Just like me on Friday night. Just like me on Friday night when I played football, edge of the box. Call me Maniche because he did it in 2004 at the Euros as well. Nice little
so yeah,
callback there.
he's quite young, just turned 21. Obviously he needs more experience. So maybe, just maybe, he won't be able to be a starter from the very beginning, but certainly he should have enough capacity to come off from the bench and make the difference.
What he'll be learning from his teammates as well, especially Luka Modric, who could be in his last international tournament too. I mean, he scored 5 goals and 8 assists this season in the league. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he will do in international football. And it's going to be fun because we've seen someone like Halilovic come through for Croatia, and he was billed as the next big thing. and he never really hit the grade because he has so much expectation on him. So hopefully with Baturina, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
with Baturina, I said it in a Spanish accent. With Baturina, we're hopefully going to have a bit less pressure on him, and he can just develop at his own pace as well. It reminds me of who can I say? With Josko Gvardiol, because when Josko Gvardiol came onto the scene in the World Cup, everyone then saw him because of him losing out to Lionel Messi. But people before that knew he's actually a really good player for RB Leipzig. Gvardiol, Ibrahima Konate, Upamecano, all coming through RB Leipzig. Fantastic development in their side for young centre backs as well. Actually, young players in general, to be fair. So Martin Baturina, he could be a player we could be seeing at the European Championships shine. I'm looking forward to
Fully.
seeing how that goes as well. But yeah, that's the end of Group B. Group of death now, Mikha. Group C. England, Denmark, Serbia, and of course, the mighty Slovenia. Oh, I'm scared. I don't think we're going to make out the group, I think it's going to be very, very
Oh, no
difficult.
way. Well, you
All I'm
have to
saying,
be a bit biased.
I have to be a bit biased here. Rasmus Højlund will score a hat-trick against Manchester United with the way that our defenders are looking. Stones looks like he could be injured. Maguire looks like he could be injured as well. It could be very worrying. And I think it'd be very funny to see England lose to Denmark and everyone just looks at Rasmus Højlund like, yeah, you are a very good player. Because he is a very, very good player. England, we've got so many incredible wonder kids on our side. We can talk about Jude Bellingham all day, every day. And I think we should avoid Jude Bellingham for now because I think the audience, everyone knows about Jude Bellingham. So we're not really going to add any more information to Jude Bellingham. But because we are both Manchester United fans, let's go a bit biased here. Mika explained it perfectly. We have to be a bit biased here. Show our favourite wonder kids to talk about. FA Cup winner, baller in the midfield, the Stockport Seedorf, Kobbie Mainoo. Mika, talk to me. What have you loved about him this season?
Absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. He basically he was injured in the first half of the season, and as soon as he came on, I think everyone saw what we were lacking in the midfield, and we were lacking him in the midfield. He's absolutely amazing. Obviously, England has a lot of talented players such as Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham, as you mentioned, and many others. But we have to mention Kobbie Mainoo because well, he's the one who has the least experience on a senior level, but he plays like a 35-year-old experienced player in the midfield, and he plays in a position that is one of the hardest to, let's say, master. And he plays with so much confidence and with such a quality that is just unusual for such a young kid. And I've been impressed so many times, and I believe that he can be a very good player for England. Not sure, like you are more qualified to say this, but not sure if he's able to start playing regularly in the starting lineup when you have Jude Bellingham and others more experienced players. But he has quality.
For me personally, I've said it recently, I don't want him to start because we've seen it before when Manchester United players. When a Man United player starts for England, they have more pressure on them than other players. So even with Rashford out of the squad, who I wanted to be in the squad, it's a blessing in disguise, really. He gets to rest, he gets to recover, he gets to recuperate, and he gets to then join the Man United preseason with a fresh fitness as well. With Kobbie Mainoo, I don't want him to start. Personally, I'd like to see Trent Alexander-Arnold and Declan Rice. I think there will be games where Mainoo will come on second half, and maybe we have a midfield trio of Mainoo, Trent, and Bellingham, or Mainoo, Bellingham, Rice, because it allows more control in the game. We've got a goal, we've got 2 goals. We just need to keep the ball. And England have been lacking a ball playing technical midfielder for years now.
Mhm.
We've had 2 destroyers in Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson, Declan Rice always being there, but this season for Arsenal, Declan Rice has been more of a number 8, moving forward, scoring goals, taking set pieces. Mainoo's been an 8. The Manchester Modric, the Stockport Seedorf, I'd love to see him start, but I don't want to have him. He can handle the pressure. There's no doubts about it. We saw in the preseason, in the international friendlies beforehand, he can handle it against Brazil. He can handle it against Belgium. But for me, international football, international tournament is very unforgiving. You're always going to be criticized for what you do at international football. So for me personally, I don't want him to start, but I know Gareth Southgate will want him to start. So we're gonna have to wait and see how it goes. It'll be good fun. And Kobbie Mainoo, England's best wonder kid, I'm happy and I'm here for it. Denmark. It can't not be Rasmus Højlund. Come on now, Mikha. He's been unbelievable this season in the worst Manchester United team in the 21st century. So it's been crazy to think about the 16 goals that he scored, the way he holds up the ball, the fact that he's still scoring for Denmark, and he was one of the top scorers in European qualification as well. What have you loved about Rasmus Højlund this season? Because basically, Friday Night Counterattack has turned into a Rasmus Højlund and Kobe Manu fan club. My co-hosts don't like me for that, but they're not doing the editing. I'm doing the editing, so I'm happy with what I'm posting out, which is good.
Yeah, the thing is with Rasmus Højlund, I believe he's so underrated because as you said, this Manchester United side is one of the weakest, if not the weakest, in the 21st century. And the thing is that with the amount of goals that he was able to score, with the quality of chances that he's been getting, and with the amount of passes that he's been receiving, is absolutely incredible. I think he has, if I'm not mistaken, I've come across some stats on Twitter, and I believe he had the best goal conversion among at least top six center forwards in the Premier League, which is incredible
With the
when
least amount of shots as well in the whole
exactly
season.
that's the thing. So well, to be better at something in a certain stat than Erling Haaland is nearly impossible, and he's been. And I'm really excited to see him at this tournament in a very interesting Denmark side, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him next season at Manchester United, and hopefully he stays fit and not injured all the time.
Absolutely. Because again, when he's been overplayed for his first season in Premier League football, it's been brutal for Rasmus Højlund to play Champions League football, Carabao Cup, FA Cup all season long because he's not been able to have a break. Anthony Martial was injured and there was no backup striker. So Manchester United definitely need another striker to soften the burden on Rasmus Højlund, let him develop properly. He's still a kid at the end of the day, and we don't want to rely upon a kid all the time, like we have done with Kobe Manu, Alejandro Garnacho, another one as well. So more to come from Rasmus Højlund, and I'm looking forward to it because they've had strikers like Branthwaite, Jonas Wind, Dolberg as well. But Rasmus Højlund has got to be the big striker for Denmark for the next 5-10 years, I would say, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there supporting Denmark against England because of Rasmus Højlund, my boy. Serbia. Ooh, this is difficult because Dusan Vlahovic is no longer a Wonderkid, and I've loved watching him play. So we're gonna have to go for someone who may not make the first team, but I'm happy to see where we're going because we still are sticking with Serie A, aren't we, Mikha?
Yeah,
Where are we going with
yeah,
this one?
definitely. Definitely. For this one, I've picked Lazar Samardžić from Udinese. Well, obviously, Serbia has always been the side who provides, who basically develops a lot of youngsters. But this time, I think when I looked at their squad, I think some of the young players, like those who are 20, 19, 18 years old, like this age group, they are just so young and inexperienced that I don't think they will even get a fair chance. So that's why I've gone for Lazar Samardžić, who's not very young. He's 22 years old, and also he has good experience in Italy. He's a good midfielder who can also play, who can drift out wide at times, and he can sometimes be sort of a wide playmaker. He doesn't have great pace, so he's not explosive or something like that. But what he can do is he can create chances from, especially from the right flank. He can provide good in-swingers with his left foot and also line-breaking passes. So that's why I can see him making this good in-swinger to Mitrovic, who obviously scores with the header. So I think it's going to be interesting to see him if he gets a good chance in the starting lineup or in the first team. So yeah, let's see. He's been quite good in Italy this season, especially when his side needs to keep the ball because he's quite good at keeping the ball in tight spaces. So yeah, it's going to be interesting indeed.
Yeah, it's true. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him as well because he's not someone I've kept an eye on this season whilst watching Serie A. So, let me pronounce it properly. Lazar Samardžić?
Maybe Samardžić, maybe, or something like that.
Samardžić. It's the D and
Sorry
the
for
Z
the
at the end.
pronunciation.
Yeah, the D and the Z at the end is crazy.
Yeah.
Samardžić. And with Serbia, we know they play rigid football as well. They play with the one striker, so Vlahovic will be on the bench. So Samazic, if he does get on the pitch, he'll have a lot more ownership on him to create from the middle, with Kostic on the left, with Mitrovic in the middle. It's going to be fun to see how Serbia play, and they're going to be very, very difficult to break down, of course, as well. Right then, the mighty Slovenia, Benjamin Sesko, no messing about. I've loved watching him grow this season at RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig was so confident in Benjamin Sesko, they loaned out Timo Werner back to the Premier League, to Tottenham Hotspur of all teams, and it's staying there for another season as well, because you've got Benjamin Sesko working with Lois Openda, with Xavi Simons, who was on loan. That was a ferocious attacking lineup. And of course, Daniel Olmo was fantastic in that front four for Marco Rose's team. What's your thoughts on Benjamin Sesko? Does he have what it takes to be a top level striker? Because we haven't really seen that from Slovenia for a good number of years now, a top level player in their national team. Let's hear your thoughts, Mika.
Yeah, definitely. I think he has a very good potential. And I've always said that there are two categories of players that I categorize as Bitcoins in football.
Oh dear.
One is a target man, goal scoring center forward, and the other one is a left footed center back. If you have quality players in those two positions, then you are most probably guaranteed to sell them for a high price, because
Rare
they are.
commodities.
Yes, absolutely. And if you look at Sesko, he's a target man center forward who is who's a full package. He's a target man center forward who can hold up the play and link up with his teammates, but at the same time
He's
score.
so quick as well. So quick.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you look at Haaland, he's very similar to Haaland. He's quite tall, strong, quick, keeps the ball well, link ups well, and actually scores a lot of goals. So it's quite interesting to see. And I've seen some rumors about him being linked to Arsenal, and but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see him in the Premier League, obviously.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'd like to see him at Manchester United have a friendly competition with Rasmus Højlund as well. The same similar type of profile of striker. They both don't like playing as target men. They like playing as strikers who can run onto the ball over the top and not really having to have that physical battle. And I think that's what a lot of these young modern strikers, they're being pegged down as being strong and physical, but they want to kind of avoid that because they want to be more on the ball. They want to have more shots on goal. And unfortunately, the Premier League doesn't allow you to be like that. It's very brutal and unforgiving at times. And as we've seen with Rasmus Højlund, he's had to adapt his game since moving to England as well. Right then, Group D, the actual group of death, really. France, Netherlands, Austria, and Poland as well. France, we can't pick Kylian Mbappe because he's no longer a wonder kid. There's a few that we want to go for France as well, but I think, well, we can go for William Saliba because he's under the age of 23, which is our criteria for today. But I think a lot of people know about William Saliba as well. So I think we're going to stick with PSG and we're going to go for an attacker on this one as well. Kind of like a lot of these players we picked as well. So where are we going? We're going for Bradley Barcola, aren't we, Mika?
For sure, yeah, definitely. Very talented winger from the left side. I think he's very interesting. I've seen some of his games in the Champions League this season.
Signed on deadline day from Lyon as well. So that was
Yeah,
a big loss for Lyon over the season.
yeah. Yeah, on top of the fact that they've been struggling a lot throughout the season, but in the last part of the season, they found their form. But Barcola, I think he's quite interesting because he's quite quick. And I think with him, Mbappe, and all those pacey forwards up front, France will be just unstoppable on the counter attack. If they hit the counter attack, you just have to stop because you don't stand a chance against those players. And I think he just adds more speed and more explosiveness in the front line. And I think he's
I'm very worried about it personally because when you're looking at, I don't want to take it into a religious points of view, Mikha, but this is the kind of greed that you've read about in religious books as well. You can't have this much pace, this much power, this much tenacity in your attacking lineup. Look at
yeah,
that. Dembele, Kolo Muani, Marcus Thuram, Bradley Barcola, Kingsley Coman, Kylian Mbappe. Six incredible attackers. Antoine
everyone.
Griezmann behind as well. That's very, very worrying for any international team.
Absolutely. They have at least like
Unbelievable.
6, 7 F1 cars up front, which is crazy.
I love that analogy. They're just as fast as one another. It's incredible to see. But yeah, Bradley Barcola, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. The Netherlands, looks like we're going to go back to RB Leipzig because this player has been on loan at RB Leipzig, even though he is the PSG player. But for the last 2 seasons, he's shone in the Netherlands, he's shone in the Bundesliga. Xavi Simons, where does he start in this Netherlands team? Because I was speaking to a Dutch journalist earlier today, and he was saying I'd love to see him start as a number 10 because they play a 5-3-2 system. And then other people are saying he's got to come off the bench because he doesn't really fit the system that Ronald Koeman comes in. Where does Xavi Simons fit in this Netherlands team for you, Mika?
Well, yeah, it's a big of I think it's a headache for the head coach because
A
the
nice
thing with
headache.
him, but yeah, absolutely. But the thing with him is that he's quite flexible and in terms of his positional play and versatile because obviously, as you've mentioned, he can play from the wing, he can play more centrally. But if Netherlands are playing with five at the back, obviously, I don't see him playing as a wing back. But for example, if they choose to have one attacking wing back who doesn't really track back that much and doesn't play as a fullback who plays as a wing back, then he might be able to play from wider positions.
I'm
But he
looking
can
forward
also
to it.
play up front, to be honest. And he can drop back at times and play as a number 10, as a second striker, something like that. So definitely there will be a place for him, but it depends on the tactical aspects of the Netherlands side.
You described all of the Netherlands attackers that can drop back and go out wide. Marlon, Depay, Bergwijn, Xavi Simons, Cody Gakpo. Basically everyone besides Wout Weghorst and Brian Brobby. So that
Yeah.
could be a problem, like you said, for Ronald Koeman to set up in his team. Oh, Group D, Austria. They're a team I loved watching in Stockholm earlier this season. It was a fantastic time to watch them. I wanted to put Patrick Wimmer in, but I think it's just gone over the threshold of what we're looking for a wonder kid. We're going to go for someone who I've not heard of, and he's got a very fun name. A fun name that I thought was even better than your full name, which I won't mention on the recording as well, because I know you've warned me beforehand, which is all good. So, Leopold Huerfeld, talk to me about him.
Yeah. Yeah, Leopold is a 20-year-old center back who plays for Rapid Vienna.
Yes.
And despite being so young, he actually plays with a lot of confidence and aggressiveness.
Okay.
Basically, what he does the best is closing down opponents very quickly and pushing up higher up the pitch, and basically engaging in one-v-one duels. And basically, he's quite good physically, uh, quite effective in the air because of his good jumping reach and physicality. And one of the things that he does quite well is long range passes. So he can definitely, if Austria are playing,
Is
if
he
Austria,
left-footed as well?
no, he's right-footed
It
actually.
would have been like your quotes as well, left-footed centre back who can play out
Exactly, yeah.
properly. That would have been fantastic.
So he can definitely help the team on the counter attack if he launches this long range diagonal straight to the final third. He can definitely do that. He's capable of doing that. So he's a very interesting player. Although once again, with young players, especially defenders, it's unlikely to see them regularly in the starting lineup. But it's interesting because Austria with Ralf Ragnick. Let's see what he chooses.
Yeah, I mean, you've had Kevin Danso, you've got Lienhart there as well in the back line. David Alaba, I'm pretty sure is still injured, but I think you wouldn't even be playing that centre back for this one as well. So lots to look forward to with Querfeld as well. Last team in the group, Poland. I don't know anything about this player. I'm going to leave this one to you because Poland, all I know about is the fact they've had a lot of players who are going into their final tournaments or second to last tournaments as well. They qualified, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they deal with their group of death as well. So, who have we got for Poland here, Mika?
So I I basically went for this player because I've seen his games in the league. He doesn't play. He plays for the bottom half of the league team,
In
but
Poland.
in Poland. But
Yeah.
he's actually quite good. He's a
Okay.
goalkeeper by the name of Oliver Zich, and
He's on
he's
loan from Aston
also
Villa, isn't he?
exactly
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. He played
That's all I
for
know
under
about him. I'm not going to pretend
21s.
like I know much about him. He's a goalkeeper on loan from Aston Villa. So that's the only thing I can relate to as well.
Well, basically in Aston Villa, he used to play for the under 21 side, and he was actually one time on the bench for the senior team.
Yeah.
So, but in Poland, obviously, he's the first choice goalkeeper for his club, where he's on loan. Not sure if he's going to stay or what's going to happen with him. But the thing with him is that most probably he's not going to play. I have to say this straight away. But he's quite talented. He's a bit inconsistent because young goalkeepers are always inconsistent, like with their on the ball ability or with their reflexes, but he shows potential. He's made some crucial saves throughout the season. Once again, he might not be the first or even second choice goalkeeper, but he's definitely the one who should have enough potential to develop significantly over the next few years and become a much better player.
And we've seen Polish goalkeepers go far across European football. Wojciech Szczesny, we've seen Lukas Fabianski as well. So they've had that pedigree of having great Polish goalkeepers. Szczesny,
Absolutely.
Serie A winner for Juventus, Fabianski playing for Arsenal and West Ham respectively, and for Swansea, of course. So there's more to come from the Polish team, especially with their wonder kids as well. Group E, we're coming up to Group E and Group F now. So we've got Ukraine, Belgium, Romania, and Slovakia. If you were in Belgium's group, you would think you could get through, especially as a best third place team. So any one of these teams could be leading as well. We're going to start with Ukraine. Ukraine, I was speaking to a Ukrainian journalist yesterday. Shout out Christina. Hopefully the video is rather on the channel at the time. If not, it will be out soon. Speaking to Christina, she's a Ukrainian journalist based out of Italy, and she was telling me about how Mudryk, Zinchenko, they've got, and Dovbyk as well, been fantastic this season. Not so much Mudryk, in my opinion. He wasn't great for Chelsea, of course. But there is a player from Shakhtar Donetsk in this team that we may have to look at and learn a bit more about as well. Unfortunately, Mika, we've thought about the same person. So we're going to go for Georgi Sudakov. Let's hear your thoughts on him. Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah, Sudakov, fantastic player, fantastic. I think at the moment his price tag is already quite high, and there are not many teams who can afford that. And maybe, well, basically he definitely has the top five potential. So those are the teams that gonna afford him.
Liverpool were linked with him earlier this season.
Yeah, and well, as a Man United fan, of course, um, obviously, like if I see him at Liverpool, well, good for him. But I mean, he can be a very good player for them, actually.
Yes.
And the thing that I'm really looking forward to is his link up with Dovbyk
Yep.
for the national team, because he's very creative. He can definitely create chances in the final third, and it's going to be interesting to see him link up with Dovbyk. Obviously, Dovbyk having a fantastic season in La Liga, so that's why seeing a fantastic goal scorer that they have in Dovbyk and Sudakov right behind him with this creative output in the final third, it's going to be very interesting to see how he performs in that side.
Absolutely. Now we're off to Belgium, the clear favourites for this group. It's very fun to see how a lot of their golden generation have gone outside of the team. There's no more Vincent Kompany, who's now the new manager of Bayern Munich. Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen are still in and around the squad, but they're very old. They're not long, they're no longer in their prime like they were at Tottenham Hotspur. Their midfield is no longer, it's a new midfield in a way with Amadou Onana, Yuri Tillemans, Kevin De Bruyne. You've no longer got Eden Hazard, of course. But you got Leandro Trossard, Jeremy Doku. You got Luca Bacchio on the right hand side, and of course, Lois Openda is still challenging to get ahead of Romelu Lukaku. But who's the wonder kid from this team that we can go for as well? This is something that I have to make sure I get right because for me personally, this guy had a really good first half of the season. Then he moved to La Liga and he barely got a game, which for me was worrying because it halted his development. But I'm glad that he's still in the initial squad for Belgium. Arthur Vermeeren, talk to me, Picker. What was so good about him in that first half of the season that Diego Simeone wanted to sign him for his team?
Well, basically, he's a powerhouse in the midfield. He can play as a number six, number eight, very good physically. Obviously, most of the players in Belgium are quite good physically on a physical level. So that's why you can see a lot of players going to La Liga, Premier League, and adapting really well. But as you mentioned, it was quite surprising to see that he didn't get enough playing time in La Liga because I believe he has all the qualities on a physical or technical level to perform very well in that Atletico side.
I agree.
And yeah, that's a big question mark actually. Will he get enough playing time at Euros? Because they have a lot of quality in the midfield with very experienced and high quality players who play on the highest level across Europe. So, but definitely, I think he might get a chance at least from the bench, and I believe he will be a fantastic player for them because, as I said, he's an absolute powerhouse in the midfield, sweeping all the passes. So he's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. On to Slovakia now, and we're off to the Netherlands for this player because he's a player that I believe had a very, very up and down season, but he's still young. He's not really getting into the first team. He's played under Arne Slot for Feyenoord, so he's had a very fun time developing as a winger. But when you've got the likes of I've got their names now. I'm not let me get their names up. I did my research. I don't want people to think I don't know about Feyenoord. Basically, because they've two wingers who are very, very difficult to pronounce their names off the top of your head. So Paisao, their left winger who's Brazilian, and Jahanbakhsh, the Iranian winger on the right hand side as well. So and Stengs is obviously an attacking midfielder. But the winger we're going for from Slovakia, who could be a dark horse in this group, I feel like they could finish second. Leo Sauer, been pretty good, I'd say, for Feyenoord. 2 goals, 3 assists in 13 matches that he's played, mostly coming off the bench as well. He could be a player that even Arne Slot's thinking, you know what, let me try and take him to Liverpool on a cheap and I can develop him there. Maybe a replacement for Luis Diaz, perhaps. What do you think, Mikha? What's your thoughts on Sauer this season?
To be quite honest, I haven't watched a lot of him, but from what I've known from my Slovakian friends, I've asked them about him and their side, and they're actually quite positive about him.
That's
And
good.
the thing is that he's young and he's also in a good form, and he's been in a team, a part of a team that's been very successful this season. So as we've mentioned previously, being in a good form as a young player at Euros can be a great advantage. So keeping all those things in mind, I think he can be a very important player in that Slovakian side because of all these reasons.
Nicely done. Final team in the group, Romania. So there is a player in Romania who I know has moved to Tottenham Hotspur. I don't want to talk about him. I don't even think Tottenham
Well,
Hotspur fans want to talk about him as well. There's another player we could talk about where I believe there's actually we can educate the audience a bit more about him as well. And for me personally, I want to know a bit more about him as well. So we're not going to go to Tottenham Hotspur. Sorry, Tottenham Hotspur fans. I know you're probably waiting for your time to shine because Tottenham very rarely have these young players coming through. But we're going to go for a centre back partner of him, Bogdan
well,
Rakovitan.
yeah. Bogdan Rakovdan. The thing is that I have to make a bit of a U-turn here, but the thing is that Bogdan Rakovdan, he's had an interesting season in Poland. The thing with him is that he's a bit inconsistent and he's had a lot of ups and downs. And when I was looking at the squad, there were not many young players in that squad, and we didn't have, let's say, a lot of options to choose from. So maybe those two, Radu Dragoshin and him, were two obvious options to go for. But the thing is that I think Radu Dragoshin will probably start ahead of him
He definitely
uh,
will be.
because of his experience and his quality. With quality, I think Radu Dragoshin is way better than him. But as I said, he's been interesting because he's had some very good moments throughout the season, but some moments where he was totally different player. So it's interesting to see if he gets enough playing time. But if we're speaking about standout and impressive players, we definitely have to mention Radu Dragoshin, whether you like it or not.
It's true. I mean, Spurs fans, you were saved there as well. I mean, Travis, who's a Spurs co-host of ours, he would have definitely been spoken about him as well. But Mika saved everyone as well, which is great. End of Group E, and we're in our final group today, Group F, Portugal, Czech Republic, Turkey, and of course, our beloved Georgia. So Georgia, I'm not going to talk about anyone because Mika is here all the way from Georgia on the call, so he can talk about whoever he wants. And I would have just spoken about Kvaratskhelia or Maravilla Vili, the goalkeeper. But I don't think he's a Wonderkid anymore. He's a bit older than 23. Portugal. Got to start off with Portugal. Their new generation is flying. Antonio Silva. You're looking at
Absolutely.
João Neves. You're looking at Rafael Leao, who's a bit older than 23 now. You're looking at some of these amazing players that they've got going on. I really want to know more about João Neves personally, because Antonio Silva, I've seen Man United are always linked with the next Benfica player coming through, and we're now linked with João Neves. So João Neves, I'm not sure if he gets in the team ahead of Vitinha or João Paulina, even Danilo to an extent. But let's hear more about João Neves from your point of view.
Well, João Neves, he's incredible. absolutely incredible.
Our
Whenever I
friend
watch
Felipe
him,
Neves as well would probably be raving about him as well. I should have invited him to this one as well. Shout out Felipe. I miss you.
um, and whenever I watch him, I'm just speechless because at such a young age, the things he does is just unbelievable. Um, Both offensively and defensively, he's incredible. Despite not being, once again, there were some players who are not physically incredible. Well, speaking of purely muscle mass and physical presence on the pitch, not their high intensity um,
Absolutely.
capabilities. He is considering that factor as well. He is absolutely amazing because I remember I was watching a center forward from Portugal. He was 6'5", and this guy João Neves, who is half his size, both in height and also in terms of his like muscle mass, he was just jumping over him. He's not normal. This guy, the things he does in the defensive part of the game is incredible. He's basically cutting out all the passes. He's recovering all the like every time he's recovering possession, he can definitely flying with a tackle and but do that very cleanly and recover possession for his team. And I think he can be a crucial player for them, and I believe he must start. Uh,
Really? Ahead
he
of
must
Vitinha
start.
or with Vitinha?
I mean, well, I'm not sure which three midfielders the coach is going to go for, but I believe he's going to be the one, at least for like I believe it so.
Yeah.
So he can be fantastic in defense, in transition, uh, both in attack, defense, and obviously in the attacking phase as well. He's absolutely incredible. I'm just speechless. I can speak about him all day long.
Is the Portuguese Kobe menu, João Neves. That's what we like to say, which would be good. Oh man, that's scary from Portugal. Now we're going to the Czech Republic. There was a goalkeeper I wanted to pick, but now he's older now than 23. So Kovar, the former Man United keeper who played for Bayern Leverkusen this season, I would wanted to talk about him. But we're not going for someone from the Czech Republic. No, we are going for someone from the Czech Republic. Matej Jurasek, 5 goals a season, 3 assists in the Czech Republic for Slavia Prague. He's been very good at under 21 level, but I need to know more about how he's going to fit into the national team, the solo national team, where he's going to play. What do you know about him, Mika?
Yeah, basically he's quite young as well. He's just 20 years old. Plays for Slavia Prague in Czech Republic, and I believe his explosiveness and speed on the flank will be the biggest asset because against teams like Portugal and even Turkey, I think Czech Republic will need some speed in the front line, and I believe he's the one who can provide that. And one of the biggest weapons that he has is his shooting power. He's absolutely amazing. His
Lethal.
left foot, he basically has a rocket in his left foot. He can his biggest threat is shooting from the edge of the box. And I think if he gets the chance, he will be quite dangerous. So I think he's a very interesting player to watch out for.
I think with the Czech Republic side as well, he's got the potential to start all 3 of these games in the European Championship. So that will definitely be a name to watch out for. Matej Jurasek. Penultimate team, we're going to Turkey. There's a very obvious one we can speak about with Turkey, Arda Güler, but we're not going to talk about Arda Güler. We're going to talk about someone who I've wanted to watch more in a more attacking team because he plays for a very defensive team in Juventus. Kenan Yildiz, 27 games this season, has been playing out of position for most of them. He's only scored 2 goals. I love the balance he has as a footballer. For such a young player, he's like a ballerina, a Turkish ballerina, I would say, in Italy. He's been fantastic. He's only 19 years old. He's an attacker who I think can bring so much drama to this Turkey side, and there's so much more to bring in this Turkey side as well. Gula, Yildiz, maybe Unal as a focal point, as a 9. It's going to be incredible to see how they develop. I mean, what have you seen from Yildiz that you've been impressed with the most, Mika?
Well, basically, as you said, creativity, pace, explosiveness. I believe he should benefit more from from an attacking football. Basically, if he, for example, if he had played for Bayer Leverkusen, he would have been absolutely amazing. Or for a similar attacking team. If Juventus, I'm not sure who are they going for as their new manager, but if their new manager,
Maybe Thiago Motta, who plays attacking
exactly,
football for Bologna this season.
exactly. So if they go for Thiago Motta, I think he can really basically maximize his potential under Thiago Motta, because he definitely has this attacking potential that he has to showcase. So I think he can be a very good player for Turkey.
I want to see more of him. I want to see him shine at this European tournament. And it's great because we've got a lot more Wonder Kids to talk about going forward. But those are every single team that we've spoken about in the European Championships. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Take care. I'm joking. I'm joking. We've got one more team to talk about. One more team to talk about. But for me, this is where I get to take a little break because we're talking about Georgia. We're talking about Mikha's team, his country, his nation. I'm going to keep quiet now and I'm just going to sit back and listen to who is the best Georgian Wonder Kid to watch at the European Championships this summer. Take it away, my
Well,
friend.
I mean, if I say his name after your sentence of who's the best Wonder Kid, that would be an overstatement. But well, obviously there's one biggest Wonder Kid in this side, and that's Kvaratskhelia and Mamardashvili. But this guy,
Is Mamardashvili still a wonder kid? Is he still young?
I think he's 23 at
Oh
most.
God, I may have just ruined it. I said it earlier. Mamadash. Yeah, it's true. Crazy. Right. So again, let me remark this for you. Who's the wonder kid to watch from the Georgian
Yeah.
national team? Because we've seen Kvaratskhelia. I need to see someone else. I need to hear about someone else. Let's hear it, Mika.
So this guy, Georgi Gocholishvili, he might not be the wonder kid that everyone expects, but at least he's a very good player, in my opinion. He's versatile, and I think he can be a good player because he can play on the right side, on the left side as a wing back, and he's
Wing
perfectly
back.
suited.
We've not
Yes.
had many defenders in this. I'm looking forward to hearing more about him so he can play both sides of fullback. That's great to see.
Yeah, he can play on both sides. He can play with both feet, although his right foot is stronger. But physically, he's very good, and he's developed significantly after his time in Georgia. When he moved to Shakhtar in the first 6 months, he just developed on a physical level. He was a different person. And basically, what I wanted to say is that the most important thing and the most interesting thing about him is that he's quite young, but he has also a very good experience playing in the Champions League actually against Barcelona, and he played quite well. He's able to play on a high intensity, and he has a very good attacking potential as well. If I'm not sure if you remember, but we played under 21s against England and we won 3-2. And
Last
he
summer?
no, like it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Was it when you hosted the tournament?
No. It was a friendly, I think.
Oh, okay. No, I wouldn't
Yeah.
remember that one then. I remember the one
But
from last tournament, but not so much. But a couple years ago, you were saying.
but yeah, he scored an amazing goal against England's under 21s. He has a very good attacking potential, and basically one of the reasons why I chose him is that he's perfectly suited for a five at the back system, 3-5-2, and that's the system that we play in the senior national team. And I think he can be a fantastic player for us.
I think it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be so enjoyable to see all of these players going forward. And the main thing for me, I've had a big education on all of these big countries that I didn't know much about. Albania, Slovenia, Slovakia, Georgia. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to learn more about these players. It's going to be enjoyable to then go to people. Yeah, I know about him. I learned about him with my co-host Mika, who I personally believe, Mika, you need to be on the podcast a lot more during the tournament because your knowledge is incredible. Your mannerisms are fantastic as always. And I hate the fact that we haven't spoken for 3 years on a podcast now. So make sure you're available across the tournament. I will be messaging you at random times of the day to go, let's review Georgia's amazing win against Turkey, their amazing draw against Portugal, and how they're getting into the knockout stages. It's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy it as well. Before we wrap up, I want to say thank you very much to everyone who's watched the video. I want to say thank you very much if you left a like, a comment, and a subscribe. I appreciate it as always. A big thank you to Mikha for joining us on Zoom all the way from Georgia. 3 final questions for Mikha. Who's going to win the tournament? Who's going to be the top scorer? And who's going to be the best player of Euro 2024?
I hate it because I always get that wrong.
We never get it right. I mean, you can say Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, England. You can if you want, but
Well,
I know you're going
no,
to go for something more realistic.
I'm gonna say Portugal is gonna win it.
Bruno Fernandes.
Then top scorer. Wow, that's the hardest one.
Arten
Uh,
Dovbik.
no, I don't think so. Maybe Mbappe.
Yes, that'll be a good group
Mbappe.
to have.
And what was the third question?
So who's going to win? Who's going to be the best player and who's going to be the top scorer? So you think you got the
Okay.
best player?
Best player. The best player. Um, uh, let's be a bit biased. Bruno.
I love it. I love it. It's fantastic.
If
I thought you
Portugal
were
is
going to
gonna
go
win it, then it's gonna be Bruno.
Bruno. You come from Sporting like Cristiano. I thought you were going to go for Kvaratskhelia. And I was like, I love it. Kvaratskhelia. It's going to be fantastic. But everyone, thank you very much for watching. Mikha, big thank you again. My pleasure as always to have you
Thank
on.
you very much.
Like I said, I'm going to be pestering your WhatsApp now for the rest of the tournament to see more content from you, from us as well, which would be great. Take care. See you later.